Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm, the series where lightning always strikes twice as we talk about everything that has happened in the past week for the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. It's a special Christmas Eve episode, or I guess not really a special episode, it's just Christmas Eve is on a Saturday this year, but we have a couple little things to talk about from the past week, so let's go ahead and get right on into it. So first up for this week, we actually have some sales on the Target website. Now, I've never really seen there actually be like sales on Target's website directly. I've seen sales in Target stores like physically all the time. But now it looks like those discounts that have been happening with the Ninja Ranger figures over the last couple of months or weeks or so, depending on which wave you're talking about here, have come to the online listings. So we do have some discounts right now for the second wave of ninjas, which of course is the Rocky Red Ranger, Aisha Yellow Ranger, and Catherine version of Pink, which right now makes Cat $13.24, Rocky $18.54, and Aisha $13.24. So I don't really know why Rocky still ended up being relatively close to retail price, but since these were like the Target exclusives that were listed at like $26.99 or something like that, they were already higher up than the $25 price point that they should have been, or really even the $22 price point that they were $22.99 price point that they probably should have been. So if you didn't get these three ninjas yet, you can get them on sale on Target's website right now, and they're also have been clearanced out in Target stores all over the place. The Ninja Ranger figures did not seemingly sell very, very well, and it's probably because of all the QC problems with them or something like that. It's probably at least somewhat of a contributing factor, but if you have not gotten these yet, you can now get them on sale on Target's website and in Target stores. Next up this week, continuing off of last week talking about the Street Fighter figures, we do finally have all four of them in hand. So we talked about the Twitter account Kellamara Kicks, who had talked about how they were shipping out from Toku Collectibles the Cammy and the Ken figures, and we do now have some nice photos of all four of them in hand with their effect pieces and kind of also with some SH Figure Arts Street Fighter figures kind of as a comparison. They put the cloak from the Andrus figure on Cammy, which I guess is a reference to some Street Fighter thing. I know nothing about that franchise whatsoever, so if that is a cool reference that makes it look cool. So we see all the boxes together, all the figures like I said, so I think these do look pretty good when you have all four of them together in one area. Ken and Cammy's figures I think still look significantly lacking compared to the first two, which I do have sitting right here. I think the original Ryu and Chun-Li figures that are actually based off of Legacy Wars and Battle for the Grid are pretty great, but I'm happy that all four of them are out now. Apparently Ken has actually been out for a while, so I got some comments on last week's episode that talked about how people were finding him at like local comic shops, and I guess there was this eBay seller that had a couple Kens like the beginning of December. I had absolutely no idea about that, so we could have added Ken and Cammy as 2022 releases weeks ago, even though I only added them as such last week because that's when they were finally starting to ship out, and from a kind of a big retailer that was kind of, being posted about. So I had no idea. I had no idea that Ken was already out from that retailer on eBay. But yeah, so apparently, while most online stores have not shipped out the pre-orders yet, some of them kind of have, like Toku Collectibles, even though they still list them as pre-order over there. But I'm sure as the new year kicks around, we're probably going to get like Big Bad Toy Store and probably eventually even Pulse and stuff, getting them way earlier than like their March and April currently release dates, because clearly they're ready to go, they're done. So it's looking possible that the UK might not be getting the Zord Ascension Project Dragonzord. So this was a story that I could have included in last week's episode of Lightning Storm, but I kind of wanted to look into it a little bit more here and kind of get the full picture with this. Also, last week already had a lot of stuff to talk about with the QC stuff, so I kind of figured this would be a little bit better for this week since I knew it was probably going to be a lot lighter of a week. And it definitely was. But basically, we had this post on Facebook like a week and a half ago from the Collector's Den, who talked about how they were not going to be getting the Zord Ascension Project Dragonzord after all, and saying that Hasbro Pulse UK might be getting a small number of them, but a lot of retailers would not be getting them released. This retailer definitely wouldn't. Now, I don't exactly know what the full story is of this. I know that some UK retailers, like this one this actually is a post that comes from a tweet by Lightning Collector 2021, who posted a link to the retailer, thewholeshebang.com, which actually showed that they, at least at one point, had the Dragonzord in stock. It was up on Hasbro Pulse UK, like, as a pre-order. It's currently listed as an out-of-stock pre-order, but does have a date of January 9th, 2023. So it seems like Pulse might get some for them, but it looks like a lot of retailers are not going to be able to fulfill their Dragonzord orders in the UK, or maybe are not even going to put them up in the first place. I feel like a lot of retailers did put Dragonzord up in the first place for the UK, and I don't really know why they wouldn't fulfill orders for Dragonzord. I mean, Megazord, I think, came out, if I remember correctly, that came out in the UK before it even came out over here in the US, and Dragonzord's now been out in the US for like a couple of months, so it's definitely the time frame to where the UK should have probably already had it if they were going to get it. And I don't get why they wouldn't. Like, it's one of those weird things, because we've been seeing it kind of more recently where, like, things like G.I. Joe Classified has kind of moved over to be a Pulse exclusive in the UK. Now, that doesn't really apply to Power Rangers necessarily. G.I. Joe isn't as big of a deal over there as it is here, so that kind of makes sense. But we've already seen it with, like, Deluxe Wave 2 and Wave 12 and stuff like that. Pre-orders were a little light and a little hard to come by in the UK if it wasn't from Hasbro Pulse UK, or we've seen it with like Amazon exclusives and stuff over there. So it's just another piece in the continuing, like, we're not getting Lightning Collection stuff in the UK for some reason, and I don't really know why, but it's one of those things where if you didn't see this post, I want to make sure that you guys were aware of it. Hopefully any orders that were made on Hasbro Pulse UK will still go through. I don't see why those wouldn't. But I guess I would not be surprised if he doesn't go up in stock, or if he does, it'd be a very limited amount at the beginning of the year. I'll continue to update the story here on Lightning Storm as kind of more Dragonzords hopefully trickle out at the beginning of the year, and I'll kind of see where they're available from in the UK, so the fans can actually get their hands on the Dragonzord in the UK, because it is a pretty nice piece. I do quite like the Dragonzord, and I just, like I said already a couple times, I don't understand why the UK wouldn't be getting it outside of like Hasbro Pulse UK and stuff like that, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that, but I will try my best to kind of keep everything updated with it here on Lightning Storm. Alright, and then finally for today, we have a piece of possible news. This could be nothing, this could be something. So, we've talked about this before in the past, and it has in the past become something, but it's always hard to know for sure. But if you've found out, or if you've looked on Entertainment Earth over the last couple of months, they've been doing this really helpful thing called the Drop Zone, where they show off a bunch of companies and when they're going to be putting up brand new pre-orders on certain days. Sometimes they can be a little bit more descriptive with what you can expect on that day than other days, but sometimes this is worth looking for even a really good amount of time in advance to try to figure out when we're going to get new pre-orders or new figure reveals or new product reveals or whatever it may be. The last time that this was extremely helpful was during Power Week, where we got to see Hasbro lined up like every day of that week, and then we did get Power Ranger stuff every day of that week. Now, the reason why I'm talking about it here today is that we could potentially have our date for the next Power Rangers Lightning Collection reveal of some kind, whatever that may be, whether that's like the Yellow Ranger helmet, or that's like Wave 14, which would probably be the most likely thing at this point, would be Wave 14. But basically, it's possible we want to free our calendars for Tuesday, January 17th, 2023, at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which would be 1 p.m. Eastern time. And because right here it says, we can't wait to tell you what this is, but you'll have to come back and see what all the action is about. It's not in our power to share early. So this could be Power Rangers. This also very well could not be Power Rangers. Kind of looking at some other examples here. On January 10th, they said, what could await you? We can't say yet. We know. It's figures, or it figures. So that's probably going to be like some kind of Marvel Legends drop or something like that. And then same thing for like Wednesday, the 18th, the day after this January 17th one, where it says great things come in small packages, and doom won't come to those who missed this drop. So I don't know. Who knows what any of those days could be necessarily. But in the past, they've kind of said, they've even said something like Marvel. Not like directly referring to the company, but like they used the word Marvel in the teaser, and then it was a Marvel related drop or something like that. So seeing Power here makes me think that Tuesday the 17th could be a Power Ranger drop of some kind, but of course I will be taking a look at all of these constantly and see what happens with them. They probably won't get any more detailed than just Hasbro with that description. Usually they don't ever update to be, sometimes, but most of the time they don't update to be like specifically with the brand logo or anything like that. You just have to kind of guess what it could be. So, it's possibly even with like the Doom one, the January 18th one could be like Indiana Jones or something like that. But I'm definitely keeping an eye out here on January 17th to see if that could be our next Power Rangers drop day, which like I said, I expect would probably be Wave 14 if that is the case. But we'll just have to wait and find out and see what happens with that, because we are probably bound to get some kind of reveal in January, since they skipped having any reveals during the month of December. Besides the Alien 5-pack, and we're kind of due now for Wave 14 and stuff like that, and other Power Rangers related merchandise, so I could see it being the case. But with that, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. Of course, until next time, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below about anything I talked about this week. If you are celebrating Christmas tomorrow, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, or just a general Happy Holidays, depending on whatever you celebrate, even if it's nothing. I can't believe it's that time of the year again already, and also I think it's kind of funny that Lightning Storm falls on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve this year, so my final video of the year, spoiler alert, will be another Lightning Storm next Saturday. So, of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or LightningFitPR, and I'll see you all in Lightning Storm. This year's lightning always strikes twice.